Hello, everyone. We are on our second lesson of chapter 6, and we are going to be finding common denominators today. So we talked a little bit yesterday about how you can add and subtract fractions using fraction bars. Well, today we are going to take the first step in learning how to add and subtract fractions with unlike denominators without fraction bars. The way we have to do that is find common denominators in the fraction. And we'll find those common denominators by using the least common multiple, which a lot of times you'll see me say LCM, or you'll see it abbreviated LCM. Just means least common multiple. So the multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, and so on. So a multiple is when you have your number and you multiply it by any other number. So the multiples of 5 are 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and so on. Okay, so you're going to have to find the multiples of your two denominators, and then you're going to have to find the least common multiple they have in common. So you're going to find the lowest number that is a multiple of both numbers that they have in common. And we'll talk about that more in just a minute, so it'll make more sense. Just a refresher, the top number of your fraction is called the numerator, and the bottom number of your fraction is called the denominator. When you're adding and subtracting fractions, your denominators have to be the same or alike in order to add or subtract them. That's why we are finding common or the same denominator so that we can add and subtract starting on Monday. Whatever you do to the bottom, you must do to the top. So if you multiply the denominator by 2, guess what you have to do to the numerator? Multiply it by 2. And that will also make more sense as we get into our problems. So we are going to do 2 together, and then you will have 2 to do on your own. We have 1/5 and 1/2. And in order to find common denominators, we're going to look at both denominators. We have 5 and 2, and we're going to list the multiples of those denominators. So the multiples of 5 are 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. I'm going to stop there. We'll keep going if we need to. Now, we're going to list multiples of 2. We are going to stop when we get to any of the numbers that we've already listed in our multiples of 5. So what are our multiples of 2? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Oh, pause. What did we have any of these numbers in our multiples of 5? I don't see 2, I don't see 4, I don't see 6, I don't see 8, but I do see 10. So we have found the least common multiple, correct? That is the multiple of both numbers that they have in common, and it's the smallest multiple that they have in common. So our common denominator is going to be 10 for both fractions. But if you remember, whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. So 5 times what got us to 10? 5 times 2 equals 10. So if we multiplied 5 by 2, what do we have to multiply 1 by? Also 2. And what is 1 times 2? 2. So we moved 1/5 to 2/10. Now we need to look at that 1/2. The common denominator was 10. So 2 times what equals 10? 5. Whatever you do to the bottom, you've got to do to the top. So we multiply the bottom by 5. We're going to multiply the top by 5. And 1 times 5 is 5. So we found common denominators of 1/5 and 1/2. Our common denominator was 10. And then we converted those fractions so that they both had the common denominator, 2/10 and 5/10. If we were adding those, we would do 5 plus 2 equals 7. And then you just slide your denominator over. So our answer, if this was an addition problem, would just be 7/10 or 7/10. And we will get more into actually adding once we find the common denominator on Monday. Today, I just really want us to focus on finding the multiples, finding the least common multiple, and that helps you find your common denominator and then just rewriting those fractions. So we're going to do one more together. We have 5/6 and 1/3. So what is our first step going to be? To find the common denominator. And in order to find the common denominator, we are first going to list the multiples of our denominators. So let's start with 6. Our multiples are 6, 12, 18, and 24, and we'll pause there. We'll go further if we need to. Let's just list the multiples of 6, and then we'll go back and look for that least common multiple. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. We'll pause there. So let's see if they have any in common or if we need to keep going. All right, the first multiple of 6 is 6, so let's see if that's a multiple of 3. It is. So we found the least common multiple. If you pay attention or if you notice, there's other multiples that they have in common as well. And if I would have kept going on 3, they would have had another multiple in common. However, because we want our fractions in simplest form, we want the least common multiple. So is 6, 12, or 18 the least or the smallest? 6 is. So we're going to stick with that common denominator of 6. You could do 12 or you could do 18, but then your fraction won't be in simplest form. So it's going to cause more work for you once we start adding and subtracting. So you always want to try to find the least multiple that they have in common, or the LCM. Okay, so we changed our denominator to 6 from 6. 6 times what equals 6? 1. So what is 5 times 1? 5. So we really didn't have to change that first fraction, did we? It already had a denominator of 6. But 1/3 does not already have a denominator of 6. So we say 3 times what equals 6? 2. Whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. So 1 times what? 2. 1 times 2 equals 2. So we found the common denominators, and our fractions are now 5, 6, and 2, 6. And if we were to add those, we would get 7, 6. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Remember, you are finding the least common multiple. The top number is the numerator, the bottom number is the denominator. So you want to find common denominators by finding the least common multiple. Whatever you do to the denominator or the bottom, you must do to the numerator. So if you multiply 2 on the bottom, then you have to multiply by 2 on the top. You will have 2 questions like this right below this assignment on Wiser. If you have any questions, please let me know. Have an amazing weekend, and I will see you on Monday.